Hello and welcome everyone to the last and final week here of Dropzone 1. If you've been watching, then you are ready to see some of the teams you know and love come through and try to compete for those top 3 spaces. If you haven't, this is a first-person duos tournament. This is week number 5 after we did the qualifiers and 4 weeks of competition. We have 3 games total to be able to come on in and prove these guys for some nice prizes from ViewSonic and Cooler Master. But before we get too far into it, before we get too far into game number 1, my name is Goremizer, and joining me for this first game tonight is going to be Jabroni Bro.
How you doing, Gore? What's going on, man? Yes, the final nights. The plane is inbound already in game number 1. West to east, first of all, but very quickly. Totality 2, that is the team to keep your eye on if you do not know any of these squads. They're currently in first place overall, and they have a pretty good lead of nearly 100 points, which is actually how much you will get for a win, and that is Nop Nop and Purdy Curdy.
Yeah, pretty much putting themselves in a great position to be in the last week, where as long as you can continue to place high like they have been, they should be able to close themselves out of first place. But the glory is that if they get knocked out early, which we've seen several times, it's so easy to have happen, that could change the entire ladder for this last week. So these 3 games, while you might think coming into it might not have much impact, actually do mean a lot for those top 3 spots still. And they're looking to try and confirm themselves because they really, really want those monitors.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was very, very heated last week. The top 5 teams were so close to one another, and they've been jumping up and down all over the place. You get 100 points for a victory in this game. So any team can really make a huge jump here if they can have a really good night. But it seems pretty spread out. Everyone's kind of moving around. We got some players in Gaka, Ferry Pier. We got Sleuthy and Kramer down at Primorse from Aether United. We got Kaya and Wolf, the military base, Novo, Mills. The entire map is almost taken here.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch because we had a more kind of southern-sided plane, just kind of, I guess, south of the equator of the map when it comes down to it. But a lot of these players kind of look like an infection as they just go up towards the north to try and find the loot. Pochinki, oddly devoid of anybody, and a lot of people, it has a bad rep for being a bad neighborhood, but it's usually a great centralized area to try and get some of that loot. But a lot of these players are running to school, running to apartments, maybe going for Rozhawk, and end up fighting each other because of it.
Yeah, there's something about Pochinki that is just, when you get into competitive battlegrounds, it's almost a no drop zone. There are specific squads that'll drop there every single game and they'll hold it. But Atrite actually the first killed off and eliminated in this game. So that's a huge takeout. PJV able to get a quick down and kill on Atrite. Very, very wild. That's a rough start.
Kind of glancing over Blast EK and Odenthor here, and one of the big things that I think kind of impacts that area is the fact that VZ is hanging out in the school all by his lonesome. So those players, a lot of high kills from Odenthor and VZ. In fact, they're one of those teams that could really do with a win. They're on Alliance. They are the number 2 team. So if they can try and push themselves forward, they could definitely find themselves in contention for that first place spot. But a lot can happen in this area. There's a lot of cover. and a lot of places to get shot from. So Odin Thor actually kind of in, I want to say, one of the more risky spots.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting with Odin Thor. We actually watched a ton of him. I believe it was last week or 2 weeks ago. And he was actually completely solo, stuck in a bad situation, holding down a building all by himself. He was rushed by 2, possibly even 3 duos, one by one, just duo after duo, and he wiped them all, was able to defend it and get a top 5 finish. So we saw some crazy plays out of Odin Thor. I wouldn't be surprised if they show up here tonight and make a huge push for that number 1 spot.
All across the board, these two players, Odin Thor and VZ, have, I think, one of the better records coming out of the qualifiers for this. I remember them doing extraordinarily well. They were just looking for fights left and right to try and get as many kills. And that was at the point where kills didn't really mean anything in those games. It was just kind of icing on top of the cake. But now that kind of play style awards them a lot, because not only the points for a win, but if they get a lot of kills with that, that helps get them that small edge to push over into first. So assuming things go well for them, they might be able to kind of ink their way into potentially stealing that spot away from Totality too.
Absolutely. Jorski here looking for some shots onto Riem from Gale Force. Enzelenzo also down on Jorski's squad. He's down a little lower in front of him. We got BenQ5 on the south side of Milta. So a little Milta contention here as 2 duos have found their way, 2 very, very good duos have found their way into the city of Milta and are kind of in a little bit of a standoff.
Yeah, Riem in another one of those positions where he is a very aggressive kind of player. They always really want to look for those kills in those fights. And in Solenso, they have been more or less one of those teams that they will take an engagement if they know they have the leg up. They know better than to try and engage on everything. And really, we can see that kind of right here, just taking peeks over the wall, making sure he's getting line of sight, but he's not getting a shot until he knows he has the open fire, and he's going to be able to open that no problem and take down Riem.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's pure patience, and that's what you get from Sauna Boys in Enzelenzo and Jorski. They're a great 4-man squad if you've ever seen them in squad games, and even in duos right now, they sit in 4th place overall, 466 points. Very much in contention here. They're only about 107 points out right now from that first place position. They're off to a good start, grabbing a very quick kill on the unfortunate Riem of Gale Force.
And it kind of leaves his teammate over here, BenQ, looking to run away from Milta. At this point, he's a minute and a half away from the circle on pretty much the opposite side of where he needs to be. No vehicle in sight, although I think I saw a dune buggy just kind of hang around on the road. He can just run across the street, try to get in there as fast as possible. And without a teammate, he has no real reason to be lingering around too long inside of Milta.
Yeah, and that's the play for a lot of these duos that we see constantly. It's kind of one of those things where if you are with your duo partner, you know, you want to take those fights, you want to get those kills, you want that extra loot, you want that confidence going into the late game. It's extremely vital. But if you suffer a loss early, as BenQ5 has here at Gale Force, it's kind of one of those like, all right, I'm alone. Every fight I get into in this duo situation, I'm most likely going to be at a disadvantage. What's the best play for me right now? What's the best thing I can do? And a lot of the time that is pure survivability, getting those late game points by trying to stay alive as long as you can.
Now, it's going to be an interesting, I want to say, first couple of circles. Normally, we have a little bit more coming down, like a more collision, more fights, more bloodshed pretty throughout this first area where people are like slowly but surely collapsing into each other. This one, a little bit less population, not going to have as big of a fight, I believe, early on. As you can see, I mean, we've already had quite a few deaths coming into this match, but being able to kind of play it a little bit more carefully, some of these teams might be able to run those risks just a little bit safer because of these smaller player number that we're coming into.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's purely a result of the season game that you have. You know, there's a lot of teams that if you are not doing well and you are hundreds and hundreds of points behind, it's tough to show up last week when you're not really in contention for the prizes. But this does open up something that I love to see, and I have seen this in squad games time and time again. If you have a low player count, that opens up the looting phase to where players are almost not, I wouldn't say guaranteed, but they can really, really get what they want, what they need, and play the game exactly how they want. And the end game is that much better. You're not worrying about extra meds. You're not worrying about sights. You're not worrying about attachments on your weapons. So everyone's going balls to the wall and just crushing each other with all the firepower that they could find.
And I love that we're still seeing players go for this aggression right now. We're seeing Blackie taking shots. He's got the 8X on top of an SKS, and they're just looking for blood. And that's kind of been a theme across some of these players. They're looking for the fight early on instead of trying to prolong it, because that way they get a little bit more loot, especially when you're in an area like this. You don't have quite as many buildings to go through and get, so you get yourself just a small advantage going into that. It looks like VZ has rotated over. I do not see Odenthor because he was just eliminated, and now VZ is in a 1v2.
Yeah, Blastic was able to get the kill on Odenthor, so now this becomes VZ's responsibility as the solo player on his squad, wearing the wonderful camouflage color of purple throughout this game, as we can see. We also have a couple skirts here. Select's rocking a nice skirt, so they're all looking pretty good here in game number 1 of tonight. But that's a really rough shot. Losing Odenthor this early when you were that close in a contention. I mean, they're the second place team. Alliance is currently in second place, and they're just under 100 points out. So it's very important that they have a good night. And on top of that, they make up that ground that they don't have. So can't have the early eliminations. VZ has to be really careful here. He's got to get every point that he possibly can out of game number 1.
And it locks VZ into probably one of the most uncomfortable spots to be in. You can either fight, hope you get those 2 kills, not only avenge your teammate, but probably grab some good loot because you know that this team has been running through these apartments. Or you can run to absolutely secure yourself a spot for later on, but find yourself continually fighting 1v2 no matter where you end up going. So it's kind of, do you want to fight now and hope for the best, or do you want to fight later and hope for the best? A lot of players would opt for later, but I think VZ recognizes that since he's surrounded pretty much by nothing but open fields, it's going to be relatively difficult for him, and I think he's just waiting to try and get a leg up. The problem is the 2 players he's hunting for is hanging around inside the apartments.
Yeah, it's tough for VZ because, as you can see, he has a micro Uzi. He has a scar with a red dot. It's not optimum. It's just not at all. And it's one of those situations where he can run right now, but where's he going to go? He doesn't know where any other players are except for these ones. He has a huge lack of information for the rest of the map, but he knows there are 2 players here. If I can get a cheeky down on one of them where they don't know, they don't see it coming, and I could just drop one, I can get a 1v1. I can win that 1v1 fight. So that's kind of probably what's going through his head. And after a certain point, he's going to have to move. So hopefully that happens sooner than later.
Well, pretty soon the blue will come crashing down, and depending on the meds that we've seen these players pick up, they will end up kind of hurting a little bit more than they probably want to. They're a little closer than some of the other players that we have to see driving around. And speaking of driving around, BenQ, even though he's lost his teammate, is going to be able to make that up, potentially going for the M249. This is kind of one of the few guns some players do want and don't want at the same time. It's really good, especially for taking down vehicles, but sometimes you would see a player maybe opt to keep a better sniper or some other weapon just over that. But I think BenQ making the right decision, going to go ahead and grab that one, and I'm assuming the level 3 vest that was in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The M249 is an interesting choice. A lot of players do opt to leave it in the crate, and it's one of those things where most players like to line up 2 set guns. They like their strong single fire, which would be, your snipers, your Kar 98s, your M24s, your Mini 14s, your SKS. And then you also want that full auto option. You want that backup gun, that close range bombshell, the M4, the Scars, the AK-47 guns along those lines. But in this situation, he's opting, I'm alone. I'm going to be in a 2v1 fight. I might as well shred 2 people with an M249 because that is what it does. And he'll rock that with the M16. I think it's a pretty good choice. Now, VZ has opted to stay behind this wall forever. The duo has moved away. He actually picked up one of the kills. So he did get one, as we do see the skull and crossbones, but now he is in blue running, so he'll quickly loot and try and head out of here.
And depending on how aggressive he wants to be, he could probably catch up to Blastic, but this is one of those things is whether or not he actually saw him leave, and you can actually see in his playstyle, he's keeping it kind of careful, still around the wall. He doesn't know where Blastic went. We see Blastic has legged it. He is gone. He's out of here. But VZ's taking some damage almost completely unnecessarily because his information hasn't been necessarily quite as updated as ours. So soon enough, I expect to see him kind of make that call, make that play to start running. But he's just given VZ or Blastic here time to turn around and prepare for when VZ does depart.
Yeah, and that's one of those things with the lack of information that VZ unfortunately has. He's forced behind that wall. He can really only peek and check it out. He's working off sound cues almost completely in that position. So not hearing the player leave, not hearing the player move, puts him in a situation where he has to sit there and he has to play it safe because survivability is most important. And once he has convinced himself that he's gone away, he can move into the zone himself. And it's worth, taking the damage. You might as well take the damage and play it safe. I like the play. I like the decision making. But yeah, everyone's kind of moving into the zone. The zone, once again, has moved a little bit further to the west. So we'll have to keep hightailing it in that direction. Dismoto set up. Ignatkis, Pachinki, Ferry Pier, Quarry, all safe. It's staying off the military island for the most part, just a little bit there that is playable. And honestly, I think one of the better zones in the game.
Yeah, it's a nice, safe spot. It's not necessarily as central, I think, as some players would like. But honestly, that kind of plays into their favor, especially for the teams that were already over here. They don't have to worry as much about running into other players and having to run that risk of the fight. They don't get forced into their engagement as much as they would if it was landing, say, kind of more around Pochinki or even down towards the military base, where we've seen it happen so many times in these last few weeks. This time we're finally getting one over here, kind of towards Gatka, keeping it still open field, still a lot of danger, but some of the players are going to feel a little bit safer to loot up.
Yeah, Drass running into the zone here, timing his first aids just so. There's actually a way to do this if you're very experienced in running in the blue and you're familiar with the damage that you'll be taking. You can pretty much click the first aid, so you'll be one click away from death right before it goes off, thus saving more first aids. Drass getting pretty close to that. This is Punish's teammate, and he's running in the zone. They are separated. I did see some kills coming out from Punij, so both players are still alive. And he's actually kind of close to VZ, who's heading in from the apartments finally.
That's an interesting position for them to be in. Both of them choosing to be separated, especially at this point, kind of gives you partially an advantage because you have two sets of eyes and two sets of the map, and you're not going to be as easily noticed just because you're not running around as two people. The problem is that you're going to be left alone. One of you gets downed, the other one not going to be there in time to be able to revive you. So they're playing it at the same time. It's risky and safe, and I kind of like the decision to kind of stay apart for a little bit before they end up collapsing together and probably go hunting for some kills.
Yeah, you can really do some interesting stuff. There's a lot of flanks as long as you stay within range of each other. That, God forbid, like you see a duo, you're like, hey, I got a duo right here. I'm going to set up, and the other player can move in, can really create some really nice angles and some really nice team play out of this. And now Blackie and Shulk here, a little bit of pressure coming out, and not only is there pressure coming out from Blastic, but he's going to push up the stairs alone. He doesn't even have a gun out and just gets mowed down with the AK. So Blastic eliminated by Shulk, an easy kill. What didn't even fight back.
What I really like out of all of that was the positioning between Shulk and Blackie, just to keep themselves safe all across the board. We have Blackie up on the hill, looking down, 4x, keeping his eyes out, but he never took the shot because he recognized it's not going to be worthwhile for my team if I take the shot and just scare this guy. But I can tell Shulk exactly where he is from my position to prepare Shulk. And as you can see, Shulk just kind of hanging around, holding the one angle that he needs. Gets the perfect kill, cleans it up. Now his team can go loot. As we're looking at a couple more kills, Dismoto did just get a nice frag kill coming through, and it looks like he's trying to get rid of Legendary as well.
Yeah, he got the down on Idan through the window and then was able to finish it up with a quick frag, so they could not get the res. Hell, Pander, the teammate, moving around looking for this other player, which is Legendary. He has the SKS. He's over by the warehouse. They're peeking. They kind of know the direction he's in. Not exactly sure if they're positive on which side he went to. He's moving through the warehouse. But yeah, I mean, that's a great way to finish up the kills, throwing that grenade through the window, ensuring that the res cannot get off. And now he's looking for an angle with that SKS is Legendary, and he's in a 1v2 situation.
One of my favorite things at this point in the game has been watching the evolution of grenades coming in. Because I remember not too long ago a time where a lot of people would kind of ignore the grenades. They wouldn't want to really pick too many up, and now you actually see them having such a nice spread of versatility. People do like to carry smokes. They love carrying frags. But every now and then you'll also get a cheeky Molotov picked up and maybe used around just because they give that extra push that you might not have otherwise. And that was a good example there. I wouldn't be too surprised to potentially see some of that later this game. A lot of smokes have helped revive teammates in times of need through these games. And that's perfect for duos when you know that you have no cover, nothing good, but you know that you can at least block their vision enough to be able to survive to see another day.
Yeah, absolutely. So this zone now moving in and almost closed. We're on the west side of the main island with VZ cruising around looking for a place to go. The Cannon, Patrick, everybody's pretty much in, which is very rare, but everybody is in and safe in the zone, which is very interesting. 33 players still left alive, and we'll see where this one pops and heads to. and probably get some very quick movement, as this will shrink exponentially this time around. And it does, and it goes north. So Pachinki's still safe. The Gatka Chopsticks, including your first place team, Nop Nop and Purdy Curdy in totality 2, still safe. And some fields.
Couple of crates hanging around on the map, still not quite picked up, but they're sitting out in relatively open areas, so I wouldn't be surprised if some players try to opt over and potentially go see those. They're hiding in the shadows there, but we can see just inside a Groza level 3, a ghillie suit in the syringe. I actually think this one looks a little bit better for the outfit that you might leave with more than the gun.
Yeah, I am not a huge Groza fan. I would probably still pick up the Groza, but that crate has all the extras you want. The level 3 helmet is just the greatest thing that this game has ever offered a player. Then you have that ghillie suit, which is you're just the grass. There's a lot of open fields in this zone too, so it could be like, I mean, this is perfect. BenQ 5 with the ghillie suit right now is an absolute animal in that situation. And then, of course, the adrenaline syringe. If you're ever getting towards the end of the game and you want to get those full stims up as fast as possible, nothing does it better than a quick adrenaline syringe to top it off.
33 left alive at this point in the game, still making their way, some actually trying to get onto the northern island for the first part. I see Katie Cakes knocked out by Nop Nop there in the bottom left, and Nop Nop is on the team. That's the one that needs to pull themselves ahead. Him and Purdy Curdy looking to potentially go in on the two females here and try to take care of them as best they can, but Purdy Curdy doesn't seem to be able to find the shots that they need to lock down.
I have to say right now, I really want Nop Nop and Purdy Curdy to push this and get killed by Katie Cakes and Zomina Box, because it would just make my entire night. I know Purdy Curdy, he's a great dude, and they're insanely good, but Katie and Zomina Box have been so entertaining throughout this, moving around. They always go Zarky. It's an adventure watching them play. I'd love to see them pull off a quick kill there, but Katie Cakes will be picked up, and she has been by Zomb in a box. They will be safe. Purdy Curdy and Nop Nop choosing not to push, which I actually do like in this situation. It's not a great push when you're coming out of that sewer and you're heading towards those yellow buildings. It's a lot of open field. And Katie Cakes with the M24. This is my dream setup right here. The M24 with the 8X and the M4 secondary. Oh, it's the dream.
So you're watching two teams that you want to see collide, and I also am going to admit that I have a little bias if this fight does end up happening, that I'd like to see Katie Cakes and Zomina Box go for the win, but not because I want them to win personally, as much as it is I think it would be so fun to watch the bracket and the ladder end up just falling completely apart between Purdy Curdy and Nom Nom taking a spill this far out in the game, not being able to get themselves the positioning that they would like to be able to say, I have secured myself a spot. So a lot of shakeup potential if they get too aggressive or if they don't have the cover they need. But it seems like they know the area well. They're using the walls very, very effectively to make sure that they keep themselves safe. And they're keeping vision all around them, which normally you don't see a lot of people use this hole for this.
Yeah, it's actually something that's become more and more popular, this sewer system. And it's turned into, when you can get there on the northern side of the sewer systems where you have that circle all set up. Solace actually knocking out Enzelenzo. So Enzelenzo down and getting a res, or attempted to be res right now. Jorski's going to have to make a 1v2 play as he takes some more shots from Solace. And then peeked again, and he is taken out by Tomshi. So that is an unfortunate loss for Enzelenzo and Jorski. I struggle to say that every time. That is one of your top rating teams right now, actually in 4th place, eliminated early in game 1.
Now we see Doc, Cannon, and Smithy running around still. Another one of these top teams looking to try and prolong their life as best as possible. But again, kills at this point, placing is going to be the one that causes the big shakeup. Placing high when someone who is in the top 5 ends up placing low, that's going to be able to swing your team up into those top 3 spots. Let's say you're not doing that. Let's say you're looking for these kills. You are behind by a little bit. It's a long-range knockout. I did not expect those shots to hit, as we have Punij coming through, getting the shots, does knock down Zomina Box, and is looking for Katie Cakes as well.
Yeah, that was some pretty good shots. He's got the M4 with the 4X scope, was able to quickly get the drop on Zomina Box, and that's kind of tough because she is in a really tough spot to get out of. I don't know if Katie can even make a play over there safely and get the res, as Punij keeping an eye on the window, actually now trying to jump out. The wonderful crouch jumping. Man, just bring back the bind, guys. Bring back the bind. Katie Cakes is going to go for it. And it looks as though Poonage actually driving somewhat in that direction. She might be able to come here and get the pickup.
Depending on if Katie Cakes should hear, there's no way you don't hear a buggy coming. That is one of the loudest things in the game. But in a position where you're out in the open field, you know that someone was just shooting at you, might recognize if she heard the buggy at least start up that it's going to be driving away here. They're going to be just a little safe. And Poonage going to be driving right by some of our other players. Dross sitting here in a shack, listening very carefully and watching where his ears tell him to keep the attention to, because at this point Poonage is going to get out. He's going to be coming up. This is going to be a nice collision between the two.
These are the teammates, but they're colliding with another duo right now. That's why I was so confused too. Poonage taking a ton of shots. Poonage and Dress are the teammates that have been avoiding each other the entire game until this moment. Disimoto and Hellpand are actually pulling up and outside the zone as Dress and Poonage are actually playing gatekeeper here, deciding whether to let them in or not, taking the scar shots, hitting a few on Disimoto. So he's about 50% HP. It's a nice little 2v2 though.
I see. Soulless Tomshi down in the bottom left, still picking up some kills. Hook Bay as well as Legendary were just eliminated. And Dross and Poonage have probably the best position you could have in a fight like this. They have the circle. The advantage is in their favor. If the wall starts to close down on them, they are going to be just inside it and be in a position to shoot down Disimoto, who is looking to go for the flank. And depending on whether or not Dross is paying attention to this uphill portion, it's a little harder for him to see. But he could very well take a spill here just from looking the wrong way.
Yeah, it is a strange fight when you are directly uphill or downhill on somebody like this, especially in first person. Here we go. Disimoto has no idea. He's right in between both players, and he's immediately down and eliminated by Dross. He moved up a little too far to one side and ended up in between the duo of Dross and Poonage. And now Hellpand are actually moving to the exact same spot to head down this hill and look to see if he can get a kill. And he sees Dross and gets a quick down. They had to know he was there. Poonage now is going to have to try and win this 1v1 as Dross on the wrong side of the tree there and takes damage. And now Hellpander gets the elimination on Poonage and is able to clutch the 1v2, neither player knowing where he was.
Unfortunately, we do end up seeing just 3 feet to the right, and that entire engagement would have probably ended up with 2 players left alive. But as it is, Hellpander gets the kills. Seems almost as if we saw maybe misinformation, lack of information. I'm not entirely sure where the players were looking, because they knew they got the down. They knew there was a teammate, but I guess maybe they had spent so long apart that maybe they just didn't quite expect that to be happening. As we can see, Dag taken down right there. Shots coming down. Shulk looking for the kills onto Sevo. But unfortunately, Sevo also has his number and dialed in the sights.
Here we go. It's a nice little shack that they're using. Sevo has the prone, but he is in the field, so he will have to move. And that shot connecting through the bush there. So he's able to get some shots. Sevo looking for an angle, and he almost had one, but he's gotten dangerously low, and now he's 1 shot from elimination, and Shulk is able to really quickly grab it with the M16. The M16 8x silenced is just a nightmare in most situations. You have no idea where you're getting shot from if someone's using that on you. Switch back to the red dot. And now the zone's coming, and they have another duo pulling up on them right now, and Shulk just took a bunch of shots from the west. Another duo is right on top of the shack, and it is Purdy Curdy and Nop Nop, so they'll set up and try and get a quick 1v or 2v2. Shulk goes down. Blackie now taking a ton of damage. He's 1 shot, but so is Purdy Curdy. Purdy Curdy goes down, and now it's a 1v1. Blackie's going to have to try and make this play. He goes for the res right away. We'll try and get the pickup, and it looks as though the pickup is not happening on the other side. So Purdy Curdy will actually opt to go into the nation to his teammate Nop Nop.
I thought for sure Purdy Curdy, and it was kind of a weird scenario. I thought he was going in, trying to get the vision for Nop Nop to be able to tell him what was going on, whether or not he should aggress or fall back. But it looks like Nop Nop's just going to take away the play and run away. Purdy Curdy takes a spill, and now Nop Nop left alone. But still, with only 11 players left, they've done enough to get themselves a nice chunk of points to be able to continue pushing forward, as Solus here looking to try and get the revive. Doc Cannon being as deadly as he is, just hanging just in front of him, just down the hill. But we can see there's 5 players right around here. There's a ton going down. Doc Cannon taken down. Solus did not get the revive. He's too low health to be able to sit and res because the wall is closing in, and now he's going to be taking some shots from behind. 1 hit is all it takes, and Sleuthy's going to be able to find the kill.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really important win there. DeCannon creeped out to the side to try and get the angles, but was not able to grab it. It's getting a little strange here. We're getting very, very tight. Zone has now actually moved in right on top of a compound, which is going to be brutal for a lot of these squads if they are not equipped for this. A lot of close range fights most likely coming into play as we got our final 8. Nop Nop's still alive. He's already in the compound, the only player currently in the zone.
Holding on to those buildings is going to be the strongest position you can have right now. Everyone else is going to need to run through either a field or a forest to get to where they're going right now. Shulk taking a few shots. Blackie's been knocked down. BenQ lost his teammate really early on, still holding on as best he can as long as they can go far. This is why you see a lot of teams. He left Milta. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to loot with another team nearby, and he's going to be reaping the benefits because of it at this point. All he has to do is find Shulk, but Shulk finds him, the Car 98. One shot, one kill.
Yeah, Shulk with probably the tightest peek that he could have possibly done in that situation. Tapping E just so to get around that cover and was able to get a nice Car 98 shot before he was even noticed. We have some more shots coming out as Patrick has found 2 opponents, or 1. Oh, no, Patrick was eliminated by Sleuthy. I'm sorry. It was Sleuthy and Kramer with the elimination. So there was a 2v1. Patrick taken out immediately. So 6 remaining. It's Shulk and Blackie in a duo. It is Sleuthy and Kramer in a duo. It's Hellpander all alone and Nop Nop all alone. Nop Nop still the only one in the zone as the blue is now pushing in. Nop Nop has his eyes on Sleuthy, and he is taking some shots in that direction to try and get a kill on Sleuthy or Kramer.
Hellpander takes a spill there from the northern team, but Nom Nom now going to be looking for the kills, and he's going to be able to get at least 1 knockdown onto Kramer. Sleuthy, though, they do have some nice cover to be able to revive themselves up. 5 left alive. Shulk going to end up having to leave Blackie almost to his death, potentially going to be able to get the res here, but they're worried about other players, and they should be because these buildings are very scary. Kramer just died outside the play zone, so we have Nob Nob and Sleuthy in a 1v1 over here on the bottom. And when it comes down to it, Nob Nob has the advantage because of the building.
Yeah, I actually love the pickup that's going on up in the north. I did not think that was going to happen. I thought he was going to try and make his teammate crawl up to him, but he opts to get there as fast as possible, get the pickup before he's noticed. Knowing there's only 4 players live, it's very unlikely that someone could see them on that side, having there only be 2 others somewhere. So I like the pickup. They're not near the new zone. They will have to make a move. Nop Nop and Sleuthy, however, just a couple steps away from safety, both of them. So they're in a pretty good situation. And this is going to be an interesting approach that we see. Nop Nop knows where Sleuthy is, so we've got to hold that direction, see if he can get the peek and get the kill. But Sleuthy does not need to come out to remain safe in this next zone.
And both him and Nop Nop in an interesting kind of standoff when it comes down to it, because either one can take the other down with just 1 well-placed shot, probably 2 depending on the helmets they're running into this. But once it comes through with it, they are focused so intently on each other that the other 2 players are kind of free running, free ranging, and running around. It looks like a smoke through the window potentially caused a small distraction. Blackie right outside the door.
Oh, Blackie's now sandwiched. He doesn't even realize he now has Sleuthy behind him. He's thinking there might be a duo in this building. Sleuthy is now just going to have free shots if he peeks around far enough.
Looks a little bit too afraid to go that far, although now looking for better cover, might have a better angle to aim at with keeping himself safe, but he's still keeping around, looking for the open field, looking for anyone who might be laying down, which is the big thing. The shots are already flying. Nop Nop going to get taken down 2v1, but Blackie's going to get knocked out here by Sleuthy. 1 more kill is all that will separate them and the top. And it looks like the shots are coming out. Shulk taking too many hits.
Those are really nice shots by Sleuthy. He immediately knew where the player's going to be. He's going to toss the grenade to try and get the confirmed kill onto Blackie, or even the splash onto Shulk. Shulk now moving, switching sides, which is a great play out of him. He stands up, but he is not able to get it, and is Sleuthy able to clutch with 4 kills as a solo. We saw Kramer get eliminated there as they're moving into the zone. But take a second. Shulk, 10 kills by himself.
10. You could tell Blackie was the support in that team coming forward. A lot of kills. Unfortunately, he didn't get the last one he needed, and ends up taking the spill to number 2. But the big one we see, Nop Nop and Purdy Curdy finding that number 3. It's not going to be as nice as pulling themselves 100 points ahead, but they are still going to find a nice, healthy little bit of a lead off of that. They're already almost 100 points ahead, and so they're looking to continue that pace and try to get some of that gear from ViewSonic and Cooler Master. But That was only game number 1. We still have 2 games to potentially see some more upsets. We're going to take a short break and bring game number 2 here in a bit.
How do you think the music has changed since then?
Well, the music has changed a lot, you know. These artists nowadays, they ain't got no unity. You know, we had more love amongst each other when we were doing our stuff. You know, nowadays it's like, they always say, where there's plenty of money, there's smoke, you know. And there's a lot of money in the business nowadays, and the artists them is fighting against each other. There's absolutely no unity, and that's not a good thing.
Hello and welcome back to Dropzone 1, PUBG League's first-person duos tournament with some pretty sweet prizes brought to you by ViewSonic and Cooler Master. We'll be giving those prizes out tonight, or rather finding those winners tonight, top three. But before that, we have to play Game 2 and Game 3. This is the final week. I'm Heyday here with Jabroni Bro, and we're about to kick things off. Game 2, last night of the tournament, and this is what it's all for.
Yeah, we saw a very good game number 1 tonight. Got a little heated. A very interesting zone. I think I've seen maybe one zone in my entire 1,000 hours playing this game in that location. So very interesting. We do have a plane going from south to north. The only two to jump out right away are Sleuthy and Kramer, and they're heading right for the city of Primorsk. A couple of others jumping over military base look to be heading in that direction. And this should open up most of the map, maybe Georgopol being, and Zarki, of course, being the only real long trip for these players.
Absolutely. And those are your Game 1 winners down there in the south. And something we've talked about over the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks, if you include the qualifiers, is consistency. And what we saw in the last game is that some of the teams in that top 10, top 5 scenario continue to be consistent. Nop Nop was able to last until the top 5 there, even with a teammate down. And of course, the winners, Shulk and Blackie, they were down there in 6th place. They're not only going to take that first place spot, but they also get that 10 kills, so 10 points there, plus the bonus points for the 10 kills as well. I think it's even our first 10 kill game that we've seen so far in here in Dropzone 1. Players starting to drop down in the farm. And what's it look like for you, Jabroni?
Yeah, I have to tell you, I think that may have been the first over 10 kill game that we've had so far. And it was just, I mean, in such a weird night to get it when there's less players here tonight. Like, this is the night that you're pulling off that 11 kill team victory. So pretty wild. We do have a lot of players that headed up into Yasnaya. It looks like at minimum we have 3 different duos here. We have Axu. He's got the micro Uzi jumping off the apartments. Decent place to start looting. We had a couple over in the west there. You see VZ, Fire Official, Oz, Odin Thor, Hook Bay. Odin Thor is actually being pushed right now by Axu, who's heading right into those buildings. Sees the door open, actually spotted him, and immediately turned around to get some cover, look for some better angles. Odin Thor now holding the top of the stairs. And Axu, I don't know if you push in with just a micro Uzi, you never know what's at the top of those stairs. Player could have advantage, so he'll probably back off, wait for his squad mate, or just grab another one of these apartments.
Yeah, it looks like that's what he's going to do. Smart move. Doesn't have a lot to work with there. And also, as you can see here, leaves Odin Thor thinking because they spotted each other. Now Odin Thor is stopping from looting, although showing off a very pretty skirt. As you pointed out earlier, Jabroni, some real stylish outfits coming out here in Dropzone 1.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but everyone's got to make me feel bad because they have cool outfits, and I'm sitting here opening hundreds of crates and I have nothing. And I'm really upset about it. But something to note on this little interaction that we've had here. The moment Odin Thor spotted the player that was contesting, and a nice shot from Odin Thor, a couple quick scar shots to get a quick down on a player in the apartments. But the moment one player was spotted, he immediately communicated that to VZ. And VZ is now just west of Odin Thor. He was on the move right away, got right past all the players, and is now set up and ready to go.
Yeah, they were very split there for a moment here. In Yasnaya, as we see Hook Bay is still down, and that's a tough one for them. VZ coming in, as you said, they're going to link back up again, and these teams are starting to come together. We've seen that pay off very well in these tournaments when the teammates stick together, especially in this 2v2, that back-to-back army of 2 situation. It looks like they're going to push.
Yeah, absolutely. And they should. And you get down. This is a great opportunity to get in the building and see what you can do as soon as possible.
And up they go. See if they actually can finish this one off and then potentially push the other one.
Well, yeah, it's strange that Axu didn't try to make a move into that building. I understand it. You don't want to risk yourself, but leaving Hook Bay just to die, he will be taken out right away by VZ. No problem there.
Yep, still about 6 here in Yasnaya. And this is going to be interesting with those players all the way down from the military base on up to see what direction they end up having to push down. But these guys have a lot to work with. They have the apartments here. As we see, Aksu has a beat on him. He doesn't have anything red dot or so to work with, so he's looking down iron sights, and he chooses not to take the shots. This is a point where he's choosing not to take the shots, most likely so that he doesn't give his own position away.
Yeah, and that's something, you have to take the confirmed kill, and that's the only one that you should grab, and that's the opportunity and the decision that Axu is going for here. He does not want to take the early shot. He does not want to give away his position before he needs to.
Yep, and they're on the move now. Looks like Aksu is going to be fine as well. 4 left in Yasnaya, and you can see that it's very well spread out. And as Jabroni mentioned before, as we finally get a glimpse at this nasty, nasty circle, we have less players in the game right now. So this means not only are there potentially less people to kill, so that 10 kill was surprising, but you're also going to see, I think, a lot more spread out as some of the players like Katie Cakes and them who like to go way up north did opt to take that parachute drive all the way up there. And as you could see, though, the military base jumpers were the ones that paid off. And it's worth noting that Sleuthy and Kramer actually dipped out of the military base and went over to the city to the left there. So they're going to be looting all to their own there. And you can see even Georgia Pole, as you said, Georgia Pole might not get touched, but those guys opted to go all the way up there. They're going to have a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, this is actually kind of wild. I did not expect players in Kameshki, players in Stalber. We got a team in Severny right now. Northeast is just packed with tons of players in this situation. Sleuthy and Kramer still have all the time in the world for Primorsk. Lush heading across to the southern military island, so he'll be good to go. But yes, a military base finish. We never go a week without one. It's nice to see it here.
Absolutely. One thing that's good for these players here that are in the Northwest is that they're right on the water. And with the placement of that circle right now, they could potentially jump in a boat and take that coastline all the way down before the blue even hits that really slow first blue circle. The players on the west side, or excuse me, on the east side rather, they're going to have a lot more ground to cover. Not even if they get into the water and get into a fast boat, they still got to make it all the way around that peninsula. As you know, that's a slow drive. Yasnaya busy as well. Odin Thor and those heavy hitters still going to work in there. And you can see these names in here right now. This is practically our top 15 or so teams that we're looking at right here in game 2 of the final night.
Yeah, and it's gotten to the point where it's almost heavy hitters 100% of the time. It's just completely out of control.
Yeah, and we're looking at a crate here. And the crate is doing some magical things right now. It looks like there may be some little bitty technical difficulties at the moment, so please bear with us as we continue to check out what's going on here. And here comes the blue. And yeah, we got a crate way out in the ocean. Jabroni, would you, if you saw this landing and you were in the military base, you happened to catch a glimpse of it, would you go out for that thing?
100%. Yes. If you can get a crate in the water, you go every single time. It is a free crate most of the time. And if you head out there and you see somebody else grabbing it, it's fine. They can't shoot you. They have to get in their boat to shoot you. So you just turn around and drive away. There's no risk really to it unless somebody catches you on the island and they're the ones taking shots at you when you try and get back.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to cut to a quick break to tidy up the technical difficulties we're seeing on our end. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with Dropzone 1. All right, we are back. Thanks for not going anywhere and waiting for us to return. As you can see, the circle coming in. There's a lot of teams that are coming down over the Milta Bridge rather. And we see some teams in the water here kind of jockeying for position.
But this is a problem. We had two duos here actually heading to the water looking for the same boat. DeCannon now immediately, as soon as they start driving away, hops out of the water, takes the shots. Does not seem to be getting enough to get it down, but he does get one. He knocks out Zyphon with the headshot. And Zyphon dies from falling because that does happen when you're in a boat, you're going full speed, and you are knocked out. You die immediately, which is very strange, but that is the case. So he was able to get it down here. Now, this zone right now, Heyday, is 40% land. I mean, this is brutal when it comes to real estate that these players can use. We still have so many up north, 6 of which are just eating blue damage. Actually, even more if you look at Georgia Bowl 2. We have 5 teams just eating damage from the blue right now. They will all have to head to the south. So that southern part of the northern island is going to be a huge collection of players here in just a couple minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. This, if any time was a time to find yourself sitting on a bridge and taking shots at other teams, this would be that time. Both of those bridges will be potentially full of players coming down, and some boats as well waiting on the beach would be another fish in a barrel type of situation. Here's Room driving the UAZ across the land here in between the school and apartments. He's going to get lit up taking some shots from the apartments, it looks like.
Yeah, something that's really, really beneficial if you see a vehicle passing by, getting that first shot. As you could see from the way Riem was driving, he's not swerving around. He's making a beeline for the zone as fast as he can, and they were able to get a quick, guaranteed shot on the first shot, get the hit, put the damage out right away. Not able to get the down, but that's okay. That's great shots coming out of a building there, and Riem is going to have to stop and med up as himself and BenQ5 for Gale Force head into this brutal military zone that we have in Game 2.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't need to do anything but that. He knows that he's sitting on the edge of the blue, and everyone behind him is in his dust at this point and will have to recover as well. This is where the term surfing the blue comes in my mind, is when these players are just literally on that edge, and they're riding that vehicle in and making a mad dash to try and get in the safe zone here as they are. Beautiful view from up top. And as you mentioned, 40% land or so. And this is going to be a very exciting shift of the circle right now to see where it actually goes.
Yep, Purdy Curdy actually heading out for this crate. I can put some respect on. He's going to push all the way out into the wonderful sea here to the southwest, pick up the free crate that is just hanging out waiting for him, and then cruise back over to the shore, hopefully meeting his teammate who's actually still on the northern island. He is cruising past. He actually went right past the duo in Sleuthy and Kramer, too.
He did.
I did not see any shots coming out. Kramer was looking in that direction, probably knows. And Nop has to be careful here because Nop is driving down the shore over by Primorsk. And this could be really dangerous for him.
Indeed, he is. This is going to be dangerous for not just the teams that are in the circle right now, but as you're alluding to here, the teams that are pushing into the circle. They are going to get a view on him, taking some shots now. Sleuthy, who was hitting pretty nice in the last game, is not going to land any here, at least in the moment, and Nop's going to get away. Oh, he swerved right back into it. Yeah, doing the old serpentine maneuver.
Yep, zig and zag your way to freedom. Go for it, Nop. He's heading out, so they'll get to the island. And that is actually a huge problem for Sleuthy and Kramer, who now have to think, do we have another boat? Because if they don't, they're in huge trouble trying to get over to the military base. This is not coming back. Enzo getting 2 kills elsewhere, was able to wipe a duo in Oz and fire official. Lush here in a little bit of a standoff with some players across the road.
These tracer rounds on the spectator mode are brilliant. I absolutely love that addition. That's cool to see.
It's so much better, right? It is such a nice thing to add. You know exactly who everybody's shooting at, the directions. It's so much easier for us.
Yeah, before you just see a little flashing light here and there, and exactly like you said, the directory, the trajectory, and who is shooting who. But that is potentially one of the worst feelings in the game. When you're looting up so well, you have a place all to yourself. You know there might be a vehicle out there, and then someone comes and takes all of them, and you're left on the peninsula there to fend for yourself. We do see someone out in the ocean in the west, and a flipped car here. Zaven and Base Tefe are trying to pick each other up and get in this circle. There's a lot of people outside still.
Yeah, it's such a tough zone to move to, Heyday, and it creates such a problem. Everybody's fighting for votes. For boats. We see Unthor here is going to try and get over to VZ. They're both meeting up. They're going to have to try and cross the bridge, which is super risky.
Yeah, that's tough. Just as I suspected, there would be somebody on the bridge trying to take advantage of the situation. And it could even be a team that's not necessarily in the running, but definitely want to pick up some kill points and see who they can eliminate here. Maybe flip the bracket a bit, as Gore was alluding to. Wolf is going to knock out Jimmer TV with a headshot with a Car 98. As you can see, Encelenzo diving into the water to pick up a crate. Odenthor and VZ pretty low right now, but they need to move. They have a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, it's just going to be brutal getting across the water here, especially if you have to swim, because in this game, you cannot med while you are in water. So if you have to swim, plus you're inside blue and you're eating that tick damage, it is very, very difficult to survive. And they're over on the eastern bridge, and that is where they're trying to make their push. They cannot opt for water here because it is just hard to survive. Even if you have the meds for it, not being able to use it is a death sentence.
About 3 teams all clumped up here. We see Lush, one of our solo competitors who is doing well there. He's also been playing fairly well in the duos action. They got eyes on Smithy and DeCannon. Those Lush and Smithy there, up there in the solos top 3, and now they have a little maybe showdown here across the military base, as we see some other names flying around. G Dollar and the gang in the game as well, and Lush trying to get a view. This is what it's all about, right? In first person, trying to get the angle, trying to get a safe peek on your enemy.
Yeah, first person creates a completely different game. You have such a lack of information, and that's what all these players try to do. You peek for that information. You risk taking damage for information, and it's turned into a situation where even those slightest little peaks, you really have to work on them and try and get just enough to shoot, but not to overextend yourself and take that extra damage.
Smithy's going to get knocked down by Dace TV, And Lush is still trying to get a beat on him. DeCannon low as well. DeCannon's actually going to heal up before he goes for the res. He's going to get a hit again, though, immediately. And he's finally making his way up to the top layer there. Plenty of time to pick up Smithy. But it looks like Purdy Curdy got knocked out by H. Wright. So this is one of those shakeups potentially that Gore was talking about. So much room for other teams to mix it up tonight and potentially take some of these teams that have been so consistent down and shake that leaderboard up.
Yeah, we see it every now and then when you get into these season type of things. In squads, it's a lot different, as though you can really challenge the other team, because a lot basically have looting patterns. They go to the same place over and over again. So what'll happen is you'll, on purpose drop exactly where they drop and go for those early fights. And Nob now had to try and make this all by himself, but H-Right clearing it up. So that's it. Your number one team eliminated from game number 2.
That was huge, with 38 still alive. H-Right and Zyphon in 8th place after last week. So that's going to be a big pickup for them. Not sure where they finished in the first game, but definitely a big takedown for any team that's trying to move their way up the bracket. This first place team is so far ahead and so consistent as we see some flaming action from G Dollar here, taking out that buggy, and Base Hefe is very low.
Yeah, the good news, not getting blown up with the vehicle, knowing to stay just back far enough to not take that vehicle explosion damage. But that is such a bad spot to be in for Base Hefe. Just absolutely awful. And he's killed off with the Scar by G$77. That is a rough stop.
It looks like your kinfolk, Zom in a Box and Katie Cakes, are still alive down by the ferry pier. Legendary and Idan over there as well. And they're making their way safely along. So you should be a proud papa, I suppose.
Yeah, every now and then, they do something good, and I can say, good job. But let's not get out of hand here, right? They got a lot to do. I expect first place finishes only, exclusively, right?
Absolutely. I think it was even promised, and they didn't deliver on the first one. Looks like one of the players still way out in the ocean there after picking up the crate, or is that Sevo? It's a different player. So teams slowly making their way into this circle, which you can see now has made its way towards the northwest part of the military base island, as BenQ5 and Room both still alive. These guys are some pretty heavy hitters as well. Had some room to make, no pun intended, on the ladder itself, Gale Force Esports, and it looks like they might be in a position to pick up some points here in game 2.
Yeah, swimming. That is just brutal. So it turns out they did not have another boat. Nop coming in and just robbing it from them, as you do, which puts the other team at a disadvantage. And that's very important. Taking those resources away from other squads and just making sure that, let's go steal the Primorse boat. Let's make sure they have to swim across. And let's have them in a worse situation than they would normally be in. Another crate heading down right to the west side of the military island.
I like this one. This one is sort of PUBG's, hey, you are in game 2 of the final week with a crazy circle on the north point of the military base. We're going to drop a crate right in the middle and see if these players go for it. H right here, very low on health. Did take out the number 1 team just a moment ago. He's going to use some first aid and heal up. But as you can see, we started with a map that was so spread out, with players opting to go as far as the northwestmost point and the northeastmost point, and with such a southernmost circle, it was so spread out at first, but now it's going to get very congested, and I think we're going to see this go from 35 down to like 15 or so in a very, very quick period of time.
Yeah, as long as the water's still safe, it will be a problem, but it's very likely that as we keep moving forward here, the zone gets further and further away from the shore, gets out of the water, and all these players will have to make land. There is not much cover on the western side of the military island, just a few different compounds with buildings. It is very hilly, but not much tree cover. What you're seeing right now on your screen is pretty much how the entire western side is. It is fairly open, so it should be a lot of interesting combat here for these players.
Absolutely. Blackie and Shulk, last game's winners, sixth place after last week, are squaring off now against Odenthor and VZ of Alliance, who are in second place as of last week. This is where it gets very interesting when you see these top 3 teams, top 5 teams or so going at it. And just the difference in how this fight can go can sway the entire ladder. Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's so important and so vital for these players get in. And we have a little bit of a standoff without the players even realizing, as we have 3 different teams over here on the east side. VZ looking for some shots, but is knocked out by Shulk.
Yeah, that's going to be potentially devastating for them if he goes down and Blackie and Shulk pick up another high kill game. They could very well push their way past this team. We might see that. We may not. Odenthor looks like he's actually going to be able to go in and get the res as Shulk and Blackie have backed off. They get the down, and now they are going to actually flank around and maybe try and get some grenades on them.
It's a good
Looks like Lush was taken out.
Yeah, he was knocked out by Tomshi. More scars. A lot of scars popping off in game number 2 here, which is a great thing for me. Scars is probably the easiest weapon to rock the full auto spray down. We still have 6 players right here on top of each other, though.
Yeah, Tomshi we're looking at. And this circle now has moved even more northwest. Almost a 50-50 or a 60-40 split between land and water. You're going to see a couple teams trying to come in across the water. Everyone else that was down south, though, are going to have to move into the north. And there's 2 compounds there right now, but not a lot of cover other than that.
Yeah, and it is a downhill. So on the southern part of this zone, you will be the furthest up the hill, and it goes all the way down to the beach.
And we look and see a trade here. Wolf knocked down Daze, but Rusty comes in and takes Wolf down. And now this is it looks like another team coming in here as Kala takes Daze live. Kala takes Rusty. And if Kala's with Wolf, Kala's actually going to be able to come in and get this res. And that was a 1v2 right there with the teammate down. Very clean, very composed. Kala with 2 kills and is going to get the teammate up as well, just outside of the circle.
Yeah, that's what's so important about duos. If you lose your teammate, you can always clutch that 1v2. You can always get the quick trade in and then look for that win in the 1v1 fight. And being able to do that and getting your teammate back up and getting a 2-1 turned around completely to where you just wipe the other team and you're both still alive. Such a good play. Such an important, vital victory there for Kala. And they'll be heading in still with 31 players remaining, though.
Absolutely. I really like this ridge here that Ben Q and Room from. We've seen this come into play 1 or 2 other times in the last few weeks. And we've seen some pretty devastating fights here as players come up the beach unsuspectedly or try and push their way into the circles. You can see here, these guys are making a push, trying to get into safety as the blue comes in. Room and BenQ5, though, are not in the circle as well. They're going to have to move. As you can see, some teams still coming in on the water. This is going to start to turn into a bloodbath here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and this is what happens. You start running out of space. We will have teams probably opting to swim here, but the new zone is popping, and it will either favor them or no. We still have some water in play.
Yeah, we see Room get knocked out. Nobz gets knocked out. Room is killed. Sleuthy is knocked out. VZ is killed. And people are starting to fall. Smithy's going to get shot up right now as well. Or rather, Sleuthy. Kramer goes out as well. That was last game, very high placement. And Nobzy is out. Kala goes outside the kill zone. And this is really dipping down into some lower numbers as this is the survival of the fittest here coming into play in this final circle.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you get on that western side by those ridges, it is so popular and players like it so much that you end up with 4 or 5 different squads all trying to get it and hold it down. And when they're finally forced off it, they all run into each other right on top of each other, and it's a disaster.
That was a tough fight there as H. Wright takes down Idan, but Legendary looked like with maybe 1 shot takes H. Wright out of the game and is able to pick up Idan here on the beach. Very exposed right now, and you can see the players starting to move in on these 2 different compound areas as Shulk is getting picked up. Or picking his teammate up. You can see it's starting to get condensed. We've got some players here. Katie Cakes and Zomanabox are over here trying to get an angle on last game's winners.
Yeah, maybe they will be able to. They have Rock for cover. 30 seconds left.
Yeah, they get the down. Shulk very low. Shulk's going to get the heal off. Katie Cakes is actually going to push here. Blackie very low. It looks like Zombiebox is laying down some cover fire for Katie to push. This is going to be a standoff here. Katie's going to get the kill, and that team is out. Winners the last game. And
that is what I'm talking about. Right there. Katie and Zombiebox out here making plays with 17 players alive.
Yeah, very nice. Solus peeking out of a window.
I can
looking at Katie.
I'm proud.
Yeah, proud papa here in the house. They're actually going to start eating blue up there. They need to make it their way in. The circle is going to start hurting for these players that are out on the cusp, and shots are continue to be fired. These guys have a nice little spread here. At this point, if you have that compound lockdown, Jabroni, are you split between two buildings like them, or are you?
I'm outside 100% in this situation. One-story buildings very dangerous. You can't let players get close. These windows are not optimal at all. You do have half walls for cover. I would definitely not be split in two different one-story buildings. I can tell you that, especially in a duo situation. I am just one of those players where I want to be able to move and look, and vision's most important, especially in first person. Getting information is so vital and so important. Now, other players opt to hold the buildings, and that's fine. You know, you can do what you want. But look at this, another beach zone heyday.
Yeah. And not favoring really anyone except maybe the players still making their way across the water. We saw Blastix take down Legendary and Idan on the beach there as well. And these players are forced to move out of those houses as there's not a lot of room left for them to run. Sola's taking some shots onto the beach. They're going to try to pick these players off coming out of the water.
Yeah, coming out of the water is one of the worst situations you can be in. It is so awkward. You have to wait to pull your gun out. Your head is out of the water before you can even return fire. So you are very open to shots. But at the same time, if you can stay in the water and maintain the spot and try and stay underwater as much as possible, you can end up out surviving a lot of players.
This is an interesting compound over here. It's not in the circle. It's not going to be in the white. So these players will have to move eventually. But it looks like there's a 2v2v1 there with Smithy, the solo player, camping out here in this building and waiting for these other players to make the move. I'm sure that these players know that the other teams are there. And so right now they're just trying to met up and get ready to make a move into the white. Nice area right now, though. They've got a nice split on the top and bottom floors looking to get some kills. And Smithy's actually going to go down from the Groza. PJV 666 picking up some kills.
Yeah, that Groza is absolutely nasty. But leaving these buildings here is going to be very dangerous as they all run out at the same time. The shots and the downs all over the place. It is a disaster heyday.
Absolutely. We're down to 5 left. And it looked like everyone, if I'm not mistaken, everyone in that compound was just completely massacred. We have a lone survivor there who's going to still have a lot of ground to cover. It looks like Tom Sheet came out of there all alone when we started with about 7 players trying to make it out of that compound. And everyone else is in the water and on the beach with some crazy, awkward standoff right now.
This is actually ridiculous. And I'm going to say that I'm actually genuinely upset that there is still water safe at this point in the game. There are 4 players alive. Yeah. And these 2 have been swimming for 15 minutes with no reason to get out of the water, which is the right play, 100%. But how is this a zone?
Right. Yeah, it's tough because Encelenzo's doing everything he can right now. And he's actually on the beach, but he doesn't have the upper hand at the moment. He does get a kill. He finds Jamesy Boy above the water, and G Dollar's going to come out as well and go down. And he actually takes a 2 down. We're down to 2. Encelenzo and Tomshi up there. And this is your final 2 of game 2. Enzeleno, part of Sana Boys, who after last week were in 4th place. This is a big pickup for that team, especially with him solo right now.
Yeah, this is going to be, I mean, this is a great spot for a beach fight, a 1v1. Enzelenzo does have the cover in the boat that he decided to move himself, but that it's not in the zone.
Right now, this is all about the well-placed shots and the better peak. Tomshi's going to take one to the... And it looks like Encelenzo picked up a shot as well. He's going to heal up a little bit. Tomshi making a move, trying to run, and Encelenzo doesn't hit his shots. He does that time. 5 kills, 1 kill for Jorski, and that's your game 2 winners. Tomchi and Solus in second place. G Dollar Jamesy Boy picking up third. And this is definitely a shakeup. As you can see, your first place finishers, or currently first place team, are not anywhere in that top 10. Blastic's playing alone, and he ends up 6th place. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Game 3 in just a moment. This is Dropzone 1 from PUBG League. See you in a bit.
Allow me to introduce myself. Who knows what dastardly crime he might perpetrate next?
He's a very clever arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim of his suicidal mania.
You
This is it. This is game number 3, final week. And for all the marbles here coming into it, my name is Gormizer. Joining me for this final match is going to be Heyday. We bring it in and we close it out. How you doing, dude?
Absolutely great. Exciting to see how this is going to play out after all these weeks of teams bouncing up and down, our leaders sitting at the top practically unscathed. But now there are just about 36 points, and now I'm seeing there was a bit of an update, so maybe a little bit more, but very close enough for that second place team to put them down and take over that top spot. There are some pretty sweet pieces of gear on the line here those top 3 teams are playing for.
Yeah, for anyone who is maybe just joining in or has no idea what these teams are competing for at this point, first place out of the ladder, so whoever can pretty much clutch the most points. If you go and look at PUBGLeague.gg, you can look at the ladder there. 2 times ViewSonic's XG 2530 244 hertz gaming monitors. Second place is going to get 2 times Cooler Master Master Keys Pro S keyboards, and third place is going to get 2 times Cooler Master Master Mouse MM520 mice. A lot of gear on the line, and it's pretty good for what these players have done. Now this is the 5th week of competition. As you can see, a nice centralized plane for the most part to allow them to spread to a lot of the cities that we've already seen tonight.
Yeah, you know, Katie Cakes and Zom in a Box are loving this one. This is going to allow them to get all the way up to the northwest point there and have all the loot to themselves. And a lot of players, though, opting for the center part of the map and Rozhawk and Pachinki, and that's what we're looking at right now as these teams get down there on the ground in some of the most deadly cities here in Battlegrounds, as some of these players tend to avoid these places. Some of them go all in, and you can see the teams here with Fire Official and Oz going in, and they're ready. They're ready to loot, and they're ready to take on any competition that comes their way.
Possibly looking for some of these kills as they come through. You can see 6 players in essentially 3 different complexes there inside the city. It's going to be an interesting pickup as they come through. As they all look to get looted up, it looks like each team has about an assault rifle on one player and then some other type of gun on the others. I see a shotgun and a micro Uzi going to be picked up there. A nice northeastern circle. So not a lot of players.
Yeah, this is at the point where I almost feel like the game sort of whispers in our ear, are you not entertained? You know, like the majority of the players are down in the south, and they're going to have a lot of ground to cover to get in that circle. Right now, though, these players are looking to loot, and they're looking to do it safely. Oz is peeking around Pachinki here, trying to get eyeballs on any other player as well, trying to get geared up as well. Looks like he's got a sight potentially on Fire Official. I'm not quite sure if that's his teammate or not at this point in the game.
They're going to be hanging around with each other, and you can see Lush and his teammate over there kind of pulling themselves away from the other teams, getting themselves just far enough that they might be able to feel safe. But like you had mentioned, a lot of teams going to have to move if they want to get inside this circle. Pachinki is always a great place to be just because it's so centralized in the map. It's not going to take you too long to get to any one point. But when there are 6 players, I highly expect not all of them to leave, more or less dropping down to 3, maybe 2, depending on who can sneak their way out of there and stay safe throughout the game.
Yeah, that really becomes the game there. That really becomes the small meta within the meta of who's going to make it out of the town. It is the most centralized place, which means, as you just alluded to, that you can have a circle pop up almost anywhere on the map and you're in good shape. This one so far northeast, but they're right on the cusp of it. They don't have to go very far. It's getting there that's going to be the tough part. We do see some teams here in the military base, Room in Ben Q5 down there, and G Dollar, who picked up some pretty impressive kills in the last game, knows they're over there and is trying to get a beat on them now. So we see Oz gets a kill, and that's over there still in Pachinki with the Car 98. G Dollar taking some shots, none of them landing so far.
Unfortunate for him, he's looking to try and take down Ben Q5. Whichever team ends up winning this engagement really does have some trouble coming forward, as it looks like Hookbay and Ox TV going to be taken down by Easy over there in Pachinki. Room knocked out Jamesy Boy down back in the military base as well. So the team's finally kicking it off. G Dalla still the one looking for the most shots and might have to go save his teammate. The problem is that Jamesy Boy's down on top of the roof, which is a very open line of sight for Vume to be able to find some of those shots and potentially the kill.
And look at these pro strats getting up on top of the containers to get an eyeball on the enemies there on the rooftop. Does get a shot off, and it looks like he is not taking cover and might be able to be a victim here to Room as Room moves in. It looks like they went down and out, and now Room and Ben Q have the run of military base and are able to loot up there and make their way north.
Unfortunately, a long way north they have to travel, as I believe I just saw Jimmer TV getting taken down. If I remember correctly, that is going to be Lush's teammates. So not only popping off down on the military base, but popping around inside of Pochinki. Fire Official was able to pick up that one. Lush knocks out Easy there and is looking to potentially clean up, find revenge, and take the city back for his teammate that has fallen down. The shots are going to be thrown out, but he is not going to be able to find them. Fire Official going to be able to get the kill. 40 left. And a lot of top players actually getting eliminated very early on.
Yeah, that was interesting. You had mentioned earlier that they were sort of backing off from the other teams there. And then we find them back in this situation where they're pushing on Fire Official and Easy, and it doesn't work out for them. Fire Official, Easy get the kills. They're down in about 12th spot right now, so they're still not out of the running yet. They could make a really impressive run here with a win and take over one of those top 3 spots potentially. It's anybody's game up there right now, and we're fortunate enough that these teams have come out to play for these spots, as we see Purdy Curdy here in that top spot with Nop Nop, 654 points as the leaders.
Unfortunately, they started with almost 100, I think it was around 97, 96 points in the lead. Now they are down to 56 points in the lead. They have still the advantage, still the high ground, but it's still slowly slipping away from them. All we need to see is one of those other 3, maybe 4 teams in the top 5 to finish in first, and the Nop Nop and Purdy Curdy to get knocked down maybe a little bit earlier, and all of a sudden they may or may not lose their spot. It's up to them to hold on to it. And as you can see, they're up in the top. They're feeling safe. They are separated, but there is not a soul very close by, so they're going to be pretty happy with their circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. And worth noting, Enzelenzo and Jorski in second place, just behind, as you mentioned, about 56 points. They're still in the game. Third place, Blackie and Shulk are also still in the game. They're actually down in the prison area, and those teams making their way into the circle might run on top of each other. As you can see, there are still a lot of teams that still have a lot of ground to cover. And Milta, Jorski, and Enzelenzo, that's who we were just talking about in second place. They have a good loot right now, and they're looking to make the most of it and to try and push up. Looks like Smithy knocks out Hellpander with the M16.
Unfortunately for Hellpander, Disimoto, his teammate, is stuck in an engagement over by the prison right now as well. He's going to be taking some shots over towards Shulk, which is going to be potentially great for them if they can find the kill and eliminate that team. But unfortunately for them, they're both using their meds trying to stay alive. Disimoto does have the high ground here, but he's not able to get to his teammate, which is going to be the big downside. No matter what ends up happening, he's held in place. If he takes the spill, his teammate's going to die anyway. But if he is able to get the kill, he might have to ride out the rest of the game solo, but it looks like he's going to be running backwards just to try and gain some ground, gain some footing, and get some distance between him and Shulk to try to utilize this Kar 98 as best he can, but he's looking in the wrong direction. Shulk's going for the wide sweep. And all it takes is a couple shots from that angle, exactly where Disimoto is running to, for him to end up taking a spill. And he's still looking down the hill. He's not even going to see him because he keeps turning his camera away. They're going to find each other. The shots are going to fire out. Shulk takes half of his health. The question is whether or not he can close it out. The few shots he does find are good, but Disimoto's ready.
Yeah, nice shooting from Shulk. We've seen that previously. Disimoto with the tree cover. Shulk's going to throw a grenade. And these players, both in the need to heal up, it's not going to happen, though. And Shulk's going to get the kill with a headshot, the Scar. That was actually some smoke going out. So well played by Shulk to get the kill. And that's a tough spot when you're in there on anywhere in the map, specifically in the prison area there, where you're on sort of a cliffside and the circle's not in your favor. All of a sudden you find yourself being forced to backtrack to try and get a safe journey into the circle, and that did not pay off for him. Shulk with the kill.
Now players looking to make their way into the circle. I always love we get this occasionally, and it's always, I think, one of my favorite things to see, where you just chew in a car and your only goal is to outrun the blue and drive as best you can. And it's a lull in the action to keep the players a little happy. They're going to be going through, and they should have a relatively safe path. We can see a team kind of northwest of them, but there's not much to worry about. The one that catches my eye right now are the teams that are all going to be opting to stay in the blue, heal up a little bit through it all before they go in. Katie Cakes, Zom in a box, one of those teams up there in Zarky. This is something Jabroni was mentioning that he really loves. He loves watching people go up to Zarky. Not a lot of teams do this. There's still a lot of decent loot here, and being able to walk out of the city alive is always going to be a plus.
Yeah, they love going up there, and it can pay off. They come out of there with a lot of good loot. If they find a vehicle, they can get back in pretty safely. The Blues not hurting so much at this point, and now they know a general direction and a general idea of where that circle is going to sit for most of the rest of the game. I almost feel like in those sort of Sunday drive situations, Gore, forget the horn. We need some almost elevator music playing in the car at that point. It's sort of GTA style radio station, but I digress from that. We've got some action to take care of here in Drop Zone 1.
Like you've mentioned, a lot of players still alive, a lot of top teams that really would love this win because 100 points. You get 100 points for first place. You get a lot of points for kills as well if you can rack them up, and we've seen quite a few players rack those up. Going forward, going in through this last match, this is the chance for people to just steal away a victory that a lot of people have written off. We actually have slightly less players this week just because a lot of people wrote themselves off. And if you were a couple 100 points down, you're thinking, okay, I literally need 3 wins in order to be able to take the lead. I can understand maybe not wanting to go for it. But these teams that are still in here, 2 wins, 1 win, second place and a lot of kills. All that it takes to be able to shake things up is exactly what they are capable of and have shown that they can do. As we see the shots coming down, Dockhannon going to be able to knock out VZ, Odenthor. They both want to live through this, but so does Dockhannon and Smithy, as it looks like the collapse is coming through. Shots under the wall. Odenthor's low and alone.
Yeah, that's a 4th place team and a 6th place team right there going at it. And that's their opportunity to push up past them and then work on the next focus, the next team they come up across. Blackie and Shulk and Salenzo and Jorsky, even Nop Nop and Purdy Curdy. Now they have them in their sights, potentially to Cannon and Smithy with some nice plays there to get the kill.
Eliminating a team that is higher than you as well, coming down. Smithy, Dockhannon, like you said, number 6, Odenthor and VZ Team Alliance. It's Team Totality and Team Alliance. Totality being able to push themselves forward here. Alliance now out of the board. Totality 2, the other Totality team coming through, are the ones that are in the lead. Nop Nop and Purdy Curdy are consisting of that team. So depending on how Smithy and Dockhannon can go with this, they're looking to essentially take out their friends that are also the opposition. Now closing on in the new circle, everything's looking relatively calm for the time being, although a lot of vehicles, a lot of noise being generated across the board for a lot of players. They're getting line of sighted as it stands going into the new circle, but with the way things are going, they don't have too much to worry about. A lot of these teams, since they weren't in here to begin with, are trying to find a place to settle, a place to loot, and a place to be happy.
Yeah, it's amazing how right now the circle is so big with these 36 left alive. They do have a lot of room to work with right now, as we see some shots in the middle of the map. And the blue settled right now for the moment, which is going to allow these teams here in the southeast to work their way up. Base Tefe getting shot at right now, taking some cover behind the UAZ. We got Zyphon and H right there, and Base Tefe, Zaven's teammate, is looking to get a bead on this player. But that's a really nice spot up there in that top floor.
Yeah, a lot to be able to kind of hold themselves up there. The way things have been going, Atrite very high up on the list. A lot of these other players have been kind of consisting of this top play, somewhere you would expect them to be able to find these shots, although Base Tefe being able to hold this position does get the line of sight, has the 4X around, but he's not going to be able to save his teammate in time. The shots are coming through, but he's just not able to find the kill.
Yeah, he's getting the shots down. He's going to actually get in the UAZ and get out of here. This is not an advantageous fight for him to be in, and he's even taking some shots on his way out. H. Wright with some nicely played shots. Looks like the car's on fire, which is not going to do well for him. H. Wright maybe in pursuit there in the UAZ. That would have been fun to watch. Instead, he might go for this crate.
The crate, the great decider. Unfortunately, the only thing left inside of it right now is going to be the tactical stock, but the body right next to it might have a different story. Zaytrite going to be looking to loot, and this is something I always love seeing players do, keeping that passion, keeping that movement so they can't be easily headshotted. Insolenso looking like he's going to be driving up right around this spot, but they're going to be turning away. There's a lot of potential collisions coming through that have not quite happened, as Dog Cannon sounds like he's getting shot at or having some shots dealt with Smithy, this 8X on top of the M16, a very deadly combination.
I feel like that's the best way to put it, Gore, is a collision. It so feels like that, where there's a lull in the action, all these teams kind of cruising in their cars and making their way in. Sometimes we're seeing them swimming across big parts of the water. But as they come into these areas where the circle finds a compound here, a small shack there, you do have these collisions of teams that come in, and sometimes it's not necessarily clean, but it's always very exciting to see.
Jaworski going for some long-range shots. I always love when the players have, I guess, the guts to do this across this. The 8X going to be helping him out with that, but he's not hitting any of them just yet. No damage being dealt, and when it comes down to it, you have to question how much ammo he has that he's comfortable doing this. Normally, a player would stop after about half of the clip. With this, Jaworski's just going to continue shooting, finally falls back, going to just decide, okay, I'm not going to be able to hit him with that if I don't want to. The Car 98 in my inventory, I could potentially look for some longer range snipes, but he's not going to be going for it. Looks like they might just want to get on out of here.
Yeah, we'll see what they do here. Right now, they're in a really good spot, sitting in second place and known for getting pretty high kill counts in their games as well. So they might be trying to add to that, while at the same time deciding what's their next move. Do they take off out of this area, or do they hold it down? We're seeing some action here. Purdy Curdy knocks out Deserted, and that's a headshot with a scar.
Looking to potentially continue some of that aggression. The nades coming through to try and confirm the kill. And the problem for Patrick right here is the fact that he's getting on his teammate nade over the top. Gonna blow up. Not going to be able to confirm any of the kills. Pretty Curdy not opting to rush them down. Instead going to fall around and wrap around as well. Nop going to be able to try and find some aggressive positioning to potentially pincer these two players. Deserted trying to heal up as fast as he can. But now we have the rotations coming through. A knock again. Patrick going to get taken down. Knocked out is Deserted. And the kills are going to come through. Nop not going to be able to get anything, but his teammate Purdy Curdy going to be coming through and sweeping that one up. I also saw Dog Cannon was knocked down, but it looks like he's been revived since by Smithy. The shots are coming through. Reum and BenQ up on the hill looking right down at him.
Yeah, that was beautiful by Nop and Purdy Curdy there. Such a patient flank. That was one of the longest flanks I've ever seen. He didn't jump over any of the fences there. He ran all the way around that compound and came around the side, and they were able to get those kills. And that's really some top-notch gameplay, and one of the reasons why I think they're so consistent. They're just so patient with their gameplay. Smithy and DeCannon are actually going to leave this gas station here that is no longer safe and make their way into the white.
Drive on away, keep yourself alive for a little bit longer. A lot is on the line for those two players. Number 6, but a nice first place finish could help change things up, especially if they're able to pick up some kills. And it looks like they do opt. Once they are inside, they're safe. They have a better cover. They're going to be hopping out potentially to try and turn around and get some of those shots wherever they might be able to find them. BenQ5 on the hill in the open, barely any cover to his name, but a nice Car 98 ready, waiting for one headshot to just fly on out. And speaking of headshot, Poonage just got taken down by Tomshi.
Yeah, he's literally surveying the area, just waiting for one bad peek to put down BenQ5 and Room. Some very good players, and I'm surprised at where they are in the leaderboard. I expected them to be a bit higher now, but they are in there with some pretty phenomenal competition. So down, but not out. They have an opportunity to pick up some pretty solid ground here with a high level finish and some kills. And he's looking for those kills right now.
Based Heffet taken down by the Groza by Zyphon as well. So they're going to be going through. Atrite still alive with his teammate over here. And the loot's going to be good. They have a car delivered right into their lap, but they're also sitting pretty much smack dab in the center of the new circle, just slightly to the east of it, so they're happy with that. As Dakin going to be taking the shots down onto Ryum, as BenQ5 looking for the retaliation from his teammate. One shot coming through with that Car 98, and it's going to be enough to deter Dakin from finding those extra shots that he might have been. The aggression's going to wind down here from Smithy and his teammate just to fall back, keep themselves safe. They don't want to end up falling out just because they're greedy for kills.
Yeah, they make the right choice and potentially get some heals off. Doesn't look like they have any healing, so this can be rough if they're not able to heal up and get on with their lives as they're taking some shots into the circle. We see a lot of teams moving their way up from the south are going to potentially collide, as you so eloquently put it earlier, as Idan and Legendary on the top of the hill here. They're actually going to pick off Room, who is running in. BenQ5 a bit ahead of his teammate, and now he is forced in the pinch here to look back and see what he needs to do, as this is going to be not just a collision, but collisions from potentially all angles here as the aggressor becomes the aggressed.
BenQ stuck between a rock and a hard place between these two teams. He has a tree on one side and an actual rock on the other side, so he's stuck between a rock and about 4 players, which is looking really rough for him. Katie Cake's taken down by Tomshi in the bottom left. Zamina Box following short after. Scar L is going to be the victor there as they come through. And Tomshi barely alive, but alive and kicking and ready to continue going with the aggression, as BenQ5 going to be taking the shots down, trying to find Idan, looking for the last few hits, and he's going to be able to get the knockout. Legendary now going to be his main target, as his teammate has been eliminated and Legendary left all alone. But he's also taken fire on the other side from Aizy and Fire Official, who are all around here. Just so many players colliding in this one area. There's so much in this spot. The shots have been going through. Legendary taken down by Aizy. Smithy looking on the hill for any remaining players that he could pick up. And so is BenQ5.
Yeah, that's tough. Coming in, you got the blue at your back. You're potentially taking damage from that, and the players that are behind you, and that player you were just pushing on a moment ago. A lot of pinching going on here, and it's not necessarily plays that are putting these players in these positions, but the circumstances of the circle and how it is moving inside, and where these players are finding themselves in a lack of cover here and a very open hillside, which is not ideal because you are just so exposed.
Snipes coming through. Shadox has his sights on to BenQ5, wants to get the kill, wants to eliminate what has been one of the deadliest players of this tournament in Dropzone 1 here. Now looking like he is trying to close out in the same way that we saw them come in. A lot of kills, a lot of aggression. BenQ5 stuck behind this rock and he gets spotted out. Dakin has the sights on him. He's going to be able to find the kill, no problem there. 25 players left, and we have 6 of them all right here. But Dakin and Smithy have the small advantage of the 6 because they're already inside the circle, so they don't have to get that reposition.
Yeah, 6th place are sitting in at the moment. Blackie and Shulk right in the middle of the circle there. And 3rd place, rather. We see Zyphon in there as well. Buchanan getting some nice shots off. They made the move. If you remember, Gore, they were sitting in the safety of that gas station. They were forced to move, but they did make that move earlier than the rest of these teams. And you could see it paid off. They get in a nice little spot here. They're utilizing the lack of cover here to take off some players around them as they come in from the blue.
A few more shots, a few more kills. Easy taken down, taken away. Dakin, I don't think, was paying attention to who he knocked out and where the kill went. But ultimately, I think he recognizes that he's not going to be able to find any. PJV, the one who calmly confirmed that kill for his team instead. Insolenzo going to be able to knock out Sevo. H-Right has been knocked down as well. Smithy looking to be over there all by his lonesome, while Dakin's going to be paying attention over to the left, trying to find those shots. It's going to be PJV as well as Shadox that they take down, so they're going to be able to come out with a couple more kills, and they're watching the edge of the circle just to pick up any stragglers that might be coming through.
Yeah, they're playing this really well, taking off the teams that are around them. Zyphon gets the kill there on Nobsy with the Groza, and Buchanan and Smithy in a really good spot. The circle is going to be in their favor as well, as we see Gino here trying to get a glimpse on the team in this other building.
A fresh circle. Shulk, Blackie, happy for it. Doc, Hannon, and Smithy, kind of happy for it. They're just around the bend from this one. All they have to do is cross the street, but Sleuthy is going to be the one in trouble right now. Knocked down. Him and Kramer looking to try and live as long as they can, but the problem is that if they get taken down by Tomshi, first off, Tomshi has been going insane with kills this game, but if they get taken down here, they will not really have much of a chance. They are still sitting decently. They're not high enough that they could steal away first, but they are definitely in a position to try and go in for that second or third place spot. The problem being that that's pretty much the case for all of these teams left at this point. Everyone has something on the line, and everyone of the 14 players alive do not want to drop the ball. They don't want to be the reason that their team loses.
Yeah, they're ready, and they are wanting to try and win this with as many kills as possible. There's going to be a push on Gino here. He's hunkered down in the corner and manages to stay alive so far.
Pincered. Two sides, bullets from two angles, essentially holding him in place. He's going to try the full auto hip fire, but it's not going to be able to find it. H-Right gets the kill right there and the loot. Going to be able to heal right on up and then probably turn their attention immediately into the new circle, as there's also a new crate falling down right there. So tempting and holding, as Sleuthy, Kramer taking down Tomshi. So many kills so far this game, and looking to continue expanding that as he takes shots at Nob Nob. Not going to be able to connect with those, but he's looking for the few auto shots out of the Scar L, trying to find whatever he can. Not able to hit anything, but this would be really big for a lot of these other teams to have Nob Nob fall now, at least to give them that small advantage. But him and Purdy Curdy going to be able to live and see another day and potentially push on forward, as there's only 11 left.
Yeah, 11 left, and your top team is still in there. It's just complete consistency throughout every game. And if they don't finish in the spot that we expect them to, they come back the next game, and they do. And they're always there. They're always just finding themselves in an opportunity to get in an advantageous position and last until the top 10 at least, and then beyond. As Smithy and Buchanan in there as well. We've got teams left, and I think this is what is most impressive to me, is the teams that managed to survive. It's not a bunch of solos, it's a bunch of duos at this point as well. So these teams managing to take care of each other and make sure that they're not trying to take on the world solo at the end of the game, but doing it with their teammate.
1 minute, 10 seconds until the circle starts to close. And that circle is very, very unforgiving right now. Wide open, a few trees to their name. It looks like Smithy and Doc Hannon are making their way in there and keeping their vehicles as cover. But as we just saw, Doc Hannon did use a vehicle to kill off Tomshi and find that kill. And speaking of trying to find some kills right now, H-Right going in looking for the kills, but Blackie's going to be able to knock him down first. Coming around the back is going to be Zyphon looking for something, but H-Right has already been eliminated here by Blackie. All they need to do is find a couple of kills, maybe try to avenge his teammate to continue pushing forward. But what was 2-2-2-2 has now revolved to 4 teams, and the one solo, Zyphon, is looking for some kills, looking to try and avenge H-Right and make up for the deficit.
Yeah, this is huge. Blackie and Shulk in third place right now. They had a big kill game tonight as well, and they're looking to make a push on our current top team there. At this point, I think these teams are just trying to decide which of those prizes they want to take home, and finishing accordingly to that. Smithy and Buchanan, though, they are down in 6th spot, but they are in a great opportunity right now to push into one of those top 3.
A lot of these players still outside the blue trying to fight in. Doc Hannon going to be able to spot out Insolenso, and his teammate Jorski going to be coming through, and the knockout is going to be good. Not necessarily from the frag, but the pushback from the flat frag, landing down onto the road, going to get taken down, knocked out by falling, pushed away by that frag, and ended up getting cleaned up. Nob Nob finds Shulk and eliminates him, as now Insolenso looking to try and wrap around. Smithy is low. Nob Nob and Purdy Curdy still alive, still in the running, and looking to try to confirm themselves a first place spot and a first place finish here as they go forward. Blackie taken down immediately as he tries to leave that warehouse. We're down to 6.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge for Nob Nob and Purdy Curdy. They are not going to move from this first place spot, at least not easily. as they take down the third place team, the current third place team. Smithy trying to stay alive. He's going to take some shots from Purdy Curdy. And this team's starting to light everyone up. They're in a really great spot right now, at least to get some kills, as Smithy is just a sliver away from going down. These guys are going to have to move, though.
Vehicle explosion, not enough to find the kill. Smithy going to be able to heal up off of that one. 5 players left. Insolenzo Jorski still alive over there. Purdy Curdy, Nop still alive. And Smithy at this point trying his best. Unfortunately for him, he's up against number 1 and number 2 on the ladder right now. Jorski and Insolenzo going to be running around looking for Nop and Purdy Curdy. They should be able to get the drop down on them as they find it, but it looks like they're going to be falling back just a little bit. Actually, I say that Purdy Curdy going to get knocked down by Insolenzo, who decided to go ahead and get aggressive, but he gets knocked out in return by Nop as the shots are coming through. Jorski going to end up taking the fall, and now Smithy's in the 1v2. Purdy Curdy down, getting revived right now. If he can find the right shot, he could end it.
He could. And this is what he wants to see. He wants to see those other 4 players going after each other. These guys are going to get caught in the blue immediately. Pretty Curdy barely gets inside. Smithy actually taking some shots, and that's unfortunate for him because he was our solos winner. He could actually win this. He could clutch this right now. We have 3 left alive in a crazy circle, and it's Nop and Purdy Curdy with the kill on Smithy, with the scar. They're going to take the victory here, and they're going to take the ladder.
They come on in, 5 kills, 3 kills picked up right there across the 2 of them. They're able to prove themselves as high as they want. They getting 100 points right there. They're already at number 1. They go up, skyrocketing to the top. But the thing that's going to interest me, the top 3 are what get prizes here.
Yeah.
The top 3 are going to be the ones that walk away here. And with the shakeup we see and the names that I'm looking at on the screen right now, the top 3 are definitely shaken up. We're going to have the admins in the background doing that math and whether or not we see some big shakeups. So we're going to cut it to a very, very, very brief break as we come through, and we're going to be able to come right back in and tell you exactly who the winners are for the tournament. All right, everybody, we are back for the last time here for Dropzone 1 to announce the winners. Coming in, we have an interesting mix-up here between third and fourth. 1 point was the difference, so as you can imagine, kills did in fact take the win here. 1 kill was really kind of the difference between the two, as Totality, Smithy97, Dog Cannon take third place here. They both are going to be able to walk away with a Cooler Master Mouse MM520 mouse. It's going to be nice for them to add to their setup. And as we go in, second place picked up by the Sana boys, PUBG, Insolenso, and Jorski, going to be able to walk away with Cooler Master Key Pro S keyboards. And then the winners, you saw them win that last game. You get to see them walk away with some nice swag. Totality 2, Nop and Purdy Curdy, proving themselves to be the number 1 across 5 weeks of play. They have played 15 total games through these 3 weeks, or 5 weeks as it comes through, 3 games a night. And they are going to be able to walk away with ViewSonic XG 2530 244 hertz gaming monitors, 1 going to each of them. And it's going to be really nice for them to be able to upgrade their settings. That has been it for Dropzone 1. Of course, we are always going to be looking to do more events in the future. So if you want a chance to be able to get some really nice gear and potentially more as we go along, always check out PUBGLeague.gg and PUBG League on Twitter to be able to keep up with the tournaments. But with that, that's the end of Dropzone 1. Those are your top 3 teams. And we are going to close it out for now, and we'll see you in the next tournament.